Right, good afternoon everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. I'm finally going to be putting the brakes back on the Astra. I feel like they've been off forever now, but I really want to get this stuff back on. In the last video you saw that I painted everything up, got that all done, and today is time to put it on. Now I've already done one side of the car, but I'm going to show you the other side. I just want to make sure that everything went back together properly, and now that I know that it does, I'm going to show you how to do the other side. I believe I've got everything I need. Now quickly, Chris, if you're watching this, the guy that sent me the discs and the, what else did he send me? The discs and the handbrake cables. If you're watching this, Chris, you sent me the wrong discs. The discs that you sent me are sort of in between the two sizes that I already have. So the originals I think are like 280mm, something like that. The ones that I got, which are for a GSI, which are these ones on here, these are 308mm, and the ones that you sent me, I believe, are 280. No, so the originals would be smaller than that then. I think the originals were like 260 or something. These ones in here are 280. These are the ones that you sent me, Chris. And then these ones are 308. So it turns out that I am going to have to use these ones. I'm just going to clean them up, use a wire brush and just clean all the rust off. And then once they've been used for a little bit, they should clean up quite nicely. There's plenty of meat left on them. There's no lip on them whatsoever, so they should work absolutely fine. So apart from that, I think I've got everything. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to start putting this all back together, get everything plumbed back up, bleed the brakes as well, so that it's completely ready for when the wheels go on, and then I can move on to the wheels. And that's what we're going to do in the next video. I'm going to start prepping the wheels, the GSI Snowflakes. I need to do a bit of filling on them and stuff, but I've got everything I need to do that as well. So before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm going to crack on and get these brakes fitted to the car.
Right, okay, good morning folks, welcome back.
It is actually the next day from the footage that you would have just last seen of me putting all the brakes back together. I actually ran out of daylight yesterday, so, oh god, the sunlight's awful, hang on. I actually ran out of daylight yesterday, and so I've come back out here today to finish off what I started. Now, the brakes are actually all on the car. Everything is fitted to the car, got the discs on, the pads are on, the calipers are on, and everything is plumbed up. So all the brake lines are ran. There's one thing left to do before I can sign off the brakes on this car, and that is to bleed them. I've got my one-man bleeder. I'm gonna grab that in a minute. I'm gonna bleed every single corner and make sure there's no air left in the system, and then once that's done, that'll be the brakes completely finished. I do also want to check that there's nothing leaking from any of the joins that I've made. I didn't put any new washers on the banjo bolts. That may come back to haunt me, but we'll see in a little while. So that is the next step. I'm quickly just going to walk you around and show you how everything looks. I'm super happy with how these brakes have come out. We've got new discs on the back, but I've had to reuse the old discs on the front. It's not a big deal. Pretty much brand new pads all the way around. I reused the front pads, but they were pretty much brand new. They're Mintex pads as well, and the rears had brand new discs, brand new pads. The calipers have all been painted, as you know, they're all red now, and everything actually looks really good. I'm really happy with it. So like I said, I'm going to quickly walk you around it, show you how it looks. Hope you guys are as impressed with it as I am. Alright, here she is. This is the rear. I know you've already pretty much seen it. This is the brand new brake disc that we got. Brand new pads in there, as you can see. I think you can see that. I've greased them all up and the calipers have been painted. I do need to touch up a couple of bits on the calipers that have taken a little knock whilst I was fitting them. I'll get like a mini brush and just give them a quick touch up before I put the wheels on. But that is how it looks. The brake line is ran. I don't know if you can see that there. This is where it fits the caliper, runs along. I actually, on this side, if you remember, if you've watched the whole series so far on this, in the axle I snapped the bolt off. And so what I've done with this is I've literally just cable tied it. I saw a couple of people say it in the comments. It's really inconspicuous because they're black and the axle is black, and it actually holds it really firm. That's not going to go anywhere. We're plumbed up here, and that is exactly the same on the other side. The handbrake cable is also routed. I'll just show you that. This is the handbrake cable right here. Comes round, goes up through the caliper there, and then into the caliper right here. That is literally just exactly the same on this side. I shan't show you all that, but everything is now plumbed up, routed as it should. If we move on to the front, you can see we have our big 308 discs, Mintex pads, plenty of life left in them, calipers painted black, everything is back together, all bolts are tight now. The only thing I haven't got, which I've ordered online, is the retaining bolts for the discs. There should be a bolt that goes in there. Now I know you don't need them because the wheel will hold the brake disc on. However, if there's a place for them, I want them in there. So I've ordered a couple of them and they'll go on soon. I haven't yet tightened up the castle nut yet either. I'll do that before I put the wheels on. But that's currently how it looks in there. Really happy with how these came out. You saw that I wire brushed these. I put my wire brush attachment on my drill and gave these a good wire, and they've actually come up pretty good, as you can see. Once they're used a few times, they'll come up really nicely. So as I said, my brake bleeder is right here. You've seen me use this probably a handful of times on the channel. This is like a one-person bleeder. You can apply pressure to the brake system using this, and you don't need a second person to pump the pedals. Then you just have to break all the nipples loose, let the fluid out until there's no more air, and we should be good. There shouldn't actually be that much air in the system because, as you know, I did the trick where you stick the pole down onto the brake pedal, and not a lot of fluid actually came out when I took the brakes off. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a case of just breaking it loose, let it bleed out for a few seconds, and that should be pretty much all it needs. But I'll make sure there's no air in the system. So let's go ahead and get this thing hooked up, and I'll get the brakes bled. So when I've done this before, I usually have it on around 10, I think, is that to PSI? Yeah, 10 PSI. Seems to be enough. There's now fluid all in this hose going all the way to the reservoir right there. And so people usually say what you should do if you are bleeding brakes is you should start furthest away from the reservoir. So I should start, because mine's on the driver's side at the front, I should start on the passenger side rear, then come to the driver's rear, and then go to the passenger side front, and then go to the driver's side front, if you know what I mean. So do it in that sequence. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and catch as much of the brake fluid as I can so I don't mess up any of my paint. Let's get going. And that is how you bleed a brake caliper with that tool. It's such a good investment. I say it every time I use it. I highly recommend getting yourself a, what brand is it, Sealy? A Sealy one-man brake bleeder. Just makes your life so much easier, especially if you've got to bleed all 4 wheels like I have. Just makes it so much easier, so I highly recommend it. Right, I'm going to do the same as what I just did, so all 4 of the wheels, and I'll bring you back. Right, so that is the brakes now bled. I'm very happy that there's no more air left in the system. The only other thing that I want to do is I've left my tool on there, so the system is still pressurized. I'm just going to check around all the joints, like I said, where the banjo bolts go into the calipers, where I made my new brake line on the rear as well. Anywhere that the brake pipes join that I've messed with, I'm just going to double check, make sure there's no leakage from there. If there is, then I'll resolve it, I'll tighten anything up that I need to. But at the minute, it's holding pressure, so I'm thinking that we are good. Also, the brake pedal is very stiff. I'll just show you. When I press down, if you can see it, oh, there you go. If I press down on this, it is extremely firm. I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't go to the floor or anything. So that is a very good sign as well. It doesn't look like we have any leaks from anywhere. The banjo bolt on this one looks good. The brake connection there, absolutely no moisture whatsoever around there, which is good. Same on the other side. Banjo bolt looks good. And the connection where I made my new brake line also looks good. And where it goes into that junction box under there, no leakage from there whatsoever. So the back is good. I'm happy with that. Let's just double check the front. Banjo bolt on the back of the caliper. Looks good, looks dry to me. That's the only thing I've touched. And then on this side, the same banjo bolt. Looks good, looks dry. I am well happy with that. And the system is holding pressure. It's not going down from just under 10 or about 10 where I kept it. So I'm going to sign the brakes off. I'm happy with that. I've just gone ahead and quickly topped up the brake fluid as well. Had some .4. It's now up to its max mark. I don't know if you can see that. That's the line there of the fluid. You can just about see it. So I'm happy with that. That's topped off. We can put the cap back on. Job done. That brake pedal is really firm. Look, if I hold the camera there, when I push on it, that's literally as far as it'll go, and it stops. It's perfect. The last thing I need to do, which I forgot that I'd done before, is I just need to adjust the handbrake, or tighten it up, because I unadjusted it last time when I did the when I replaced the handbrake cables on the rear. I unadjusted it so it gave me more slack. So I just need to tighten that up, adjust it so that the handbrake functions properly, and then we can end this video and sign it off. Finally, the brakes and the 5-star conversion and the it's got GSI brakes on it now. It's mad that I've put 308mm GSI brakes on the front, 5-star conversion all around. We just need them GSI wheels now. Okay, so I've come across a slight little issue real quick. I'll just explain what has happened. I have just tightened up that screw on the bolt, sorry, on the handbrake, as you just saw. And I wanted to quickly just test that the handbrake's actually functioning, because it's new cables, new brakes, new everything. I want to know that the handbrake is working. Now, on the driver's side, if you attempt to spin the disc by hand, there is literally no movement in it whatsoever. And this little piece here, the handbrake cable, is tight. You can't move that whatsoever. So this side seems to be working. Whereas on the passenger side, handbrake's still on, bear in mind. As you can see, I can spin this by hand, and the little handbrake cable doodah right there is like a little bit loose, almost like the cable's too long or something, and it's not engaging enough. So I need to figure out why it's doing that. I don't know if it's the caliper end or whether it's the other end of the cable where it goes under the car. I hope it's not there, because that's under the exhaust. But there's always little issues, isn't there? There's always little things that you have to sort out. This is just one of those things. I'll get to the bottom of it, and I'll fix it eventually, and I'll probably come back to you. I was going to do that off camera, and I'll come back to you once I figure that out, just in case any of you have the same issue. So I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why the handbrake cable is playing up. The only thing I can really think of is that the handbrake cable that I've put on, because I think they were used, they weren't that old, but they were used. I can only assume that they were stretched, or at least this side is stretched, or they're different lengths, or something like that is up. I don't think it's anything to do with the caliper, because the caliper seems to work and function fine. If I press down on where the caliper, where the handbrake cable comes through, it does lock the disc up. So the cable is too long for the caliper. I've tried like adjusting the nut inside the car by the handbrake, tried all sorts of different positions with that. Doesn't seem to make a difference whatsoever. So I think I'm gonna have to replace that side handbrake cable. If I'm doing that side, I'm gonna do the both, which is kind of annoying. I didn't want to have to do that, but there you go. That is how the cookie crumbles sometimes. I'm gonna have a look on eBay and find myself some cables, and the car's gonna be up in the air for like another week or so anyway, while I get the wheels refurbished, so it's not really the end of the world. But there we go. I think I'm gonna end that video there. That should be plenty enough for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I am very happy that apart from the handbrake cables, the 5-star conversion and the brakes is now done. We have all GSI brakes all the way around. They are bled, they work. It's just the handbrakes to sort out, and then the wheels to refurb, and the Astra will be done, and then we can finally drive the car again. I'm eager to see what the brakes are going to be like. I'm eager to see if they're going to be like stronger. I assume they will, because they're bigger discs, much bigger discs than they were before. Calipers are a little bit bigger as well, and we've also got rear calipers as well now, so it should bite a little bit better, and we'll have stopping power of a GSI, which will be kind of crazy in a 1.6, but there we go. If you did enjoy it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I'm now going to move on and do a video on the Mondeo, which has been a long time. I've got a bunch of bulbs and stuff to change in that, so I'm going to crack on now and do that. Make sure you subscribe for future content. I've got lots of stuff planned for this year. The weather today has really put me in a good mood, I tell you that. It's really made me want to get out here and film some videos. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.